Cheers and welcome my friends. This is the end of the Hegemony 3 series with Syrakusai. I just wanted to explain why I'm ending the series. I always intended to actually continue it, but after a while I have actually thought about why I was having problems continuing it, and there are a couple of reasons. I mean, mainly it's because I've kinda done what I wanted to do. Like, I mean, I've taken most of Sicily, and I've also gained a foothold on the mainland of Italy. So I basically did what I wanted to do in the series. I mean, yes, there are still two factions that we have to take out over there. Probably this was a little bit early. Taking Colonia is sort of taking binding resources that we should use to actually conquer the rest of Sicily. So I guess that would be how I would have continued this. But the main reason is that I'm not really enjoying the units of the Greeks, of Syrakusai even. It's very slow. The battle with them is rather slow. They have these hoplites and other factions, like the Romans, for example, or other more northern tribes. They sort of do develop. They're also using hoplites, which were the main military strategy at the time. But then they develop. The Romans developed the manipulative tactics, which they sort of learned from their war against the Samnites, where they are organizing their troops into smaller units that can sort of fight independently, and then they're moving from mainly using spears and shields to also incorporating swords, and then throwing javelins, pillar, and I just like that unit selection a lot more because it makes you more agile. I mean, historically they also kicked ass with it. There are a couple of tribes that can actually use those tactics, whereas the fighting with the Greek states is sort of a little bit glacier-like, right? So you're moving those hoplite troops against each other, and then you have a couple of rectangles fighting other rectangles, and it's all very, very static, which I don't like. And then add to that the thing that we can never build what I originally wanted, which is proper cavalry. So we can only recruit Greek mounted javeliniers, and you would expect them to at least be able to go into melee if they have to do it. But these guys can never fight in melee, which is kind of annoying because that takes away all their charge and stuff. It is even giving them a melee attack rating, but it just doesn't work like that. I like cavalry that I can actually use to sort of attack enemy formations from behind, and it's just disadvantaging these Greek states even further, because not only have they their hoplites, but if you could at least use the hoplites to bind other hoplite units and then attack them from behind, that is a strategy that I can get behind. But I don't even have that kind of shock cavalry, which annoys me to no end, and which has kind of taken the fun out of this. There are a lot of other factions in the game that are very interesting to play. For example, we do have the Etruscans up there with their axe fighters, which are a very interesting unit, because not only can they throw axes, but they can also use them in melee. So they're very versatile. They're just small units. But I kind of like the Roman units the most, because they combine everything that is good about prior units and future units. I really like that. So I might come back to Hegemony, and maybe with the Romans, or maybe with the Etruscans, something further north. But I think we kind of did what I wanted in the south. You have seen the way that we can do this. What is good about Hegemony is that you're never safe. Like, even now we're very strong, but we have to be very careful not to overextend ourselves, so everything will come crashing down, just because states at that time, they weren't really all that organized. They couldn't really pull a lot of taxes, and they couldn't really pull a lot of people, because the state was rather limited in its capacity to wage war. So you have these fights between city-states that go over decades and even centuries, where they're trying to off each other, but they never manage to really do it. And this is very well depicted in Hegemony 3. So we've been fighting with our neighbors on Sicily for a long time now. I have set them to the highest difficulty, but I'm still a human, and the AI is gonna AI. So in the over the long run, I'm definitely gonna win. The negative thing about Hegemony is that it's sort of the other side of the medallion of that. So because you're never safe, at some point you're also spending a lot of time babysitting and sort of doing busy work that at a certain point of empire size I really would like to give to the AI. Rome was not administered by just one person. You would just run mad if you tried to do that. Even dictatorships where everything was sort of laid out to be ruled by one person was never ruled by one person. It's just not possible. And the game wants you to do that, which really does bog down the sort of speed in the later game. So the beginning of the game is definitely the strongest point, and then sort of mid-game still does something. I've actually never went to the end game in full. I've played a very long Roman campaign a while back, where I had about this size. So I had a really big chunk of the island, I think enough to actually declare me the hegemon of the game. But yeah, so I'm gonna give you the save game of this series. So if you wanna continue, if you're really interested in moving Syracuse further, then you can just do that. Follow the link in the description, download my save file, and I wish you the best of luck continuing it. But I'm going to end the series and then maybe start another one at some point with another faction that I can enjoy more. If you have been a fan of the series, if you have been watching this, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, and I hope I see you in one of my other series. Thanks. Bye bye.